Okay, I'm back. I don't know what happened. That was super weird. It told me I needed to reload my page. So again, if you guys can see and hear me okay this time, I would appreciate it. I'm just going to start from the top just in case anyone missed what I was in the middle of saying. So today we're talking about limiting beliefs 101. And I'd like to ask you to put into the chat what you think a definition of a limiting belief is. Now, if you're a member of our relationship reboot, if you're one of my clients, if you've been following us for a while, then you probably have a good idea of what this is, or if you've been doing any kind of personal development. So basically what limiting beliefs are stories, like I put up here earlier, that we have told ourselves are true about us. And I really like what Tony Robbins has to say, that it's all about how we perceive ourselves. It's all about the stories that we tell ourselves. And that humans would go like to the ends of the earth to defend who we think we are. And really, most of it is a bunch of junk and a bunch of stuff that we've picked up along the way. Hey, thanks, Scott. I appreciate the thumbs up. You can see and hear me okay. I appreciate it. So these are stories that we've picked up from childhood on. They could be things that our parents told us, shaped us in our early childhood. They could be things that our peers, teachers, culture, just different ideas that we've picked up along the way. Now, I was going into a little bit of psychology 101, that these limiting beliefs, they can be conscious, but often they are subconscious. Our subconscious is running 90% of the show. Our subconscious's number one job is to protect us. And it is also to preserve energy, because our brain takes a ton of energy. A lot of our calories spent go to our brain function. And so the brain is like, let's minimize the amount of energy spent there. Let's optimize that. We always want to make the best use of energy for the survival of this being, right? And so it creates neural pathways. And neural pathways are connections in the brain between the synapses that act like a highway. They become like shortcuts in the brain. It says, if we go down this route enough, then let's just make it a shortcut. So as soon as this thing happens, say someone gives you a mean look, or someone cuts you off, or someone shuts you out, then immediately the brain's response is that equals this. And this is true of me. And this is how I respond in this situation to protect myself. Okay? That's a lot of psychology. That's a lot of neuroscience. But it's important because it applies to how we live our lives and getting to the root of the issue, like Mark and I always teach as international marriage and mindset experts, that you need to get to the root of the issue. It's not enough to fix the symptoms. We need to understand what is going on a deep core level in you. That's my job. That's my jam. And also in your marriage, so that change can truly occur and be lasting. And we're talking not just about transformation for your marriage, but transformation for your life, transformation of who you are. So what does this really mean? Why is this important? Let's go over this, okay? Got my little sheet here, okay? So basically, if you have fears, doubts, insecurities, worries, stress that are preventing you from working on your goals and really becoming the best version of yourself, then you have unconscious or subconscious limiting beliefs. And if you are struggling in your marriage, I can promise you that you have some limiting beliefs that are holding you back in your marriage, as well as your spouse. But we, as always, are working on us, because we know that we can save our marriage on our own by working on ourselves. So let's go through this exercise right now. I want this to be really practical and impactful for you. So I would encourage you, if at all possible, to remove some distractions and really zone in. If you're like me, I'm often trying to multitask, driving, running around kids, doing the dishes, all those different things, cleaning the mud off because my kids just went in the mud puddle again today and I had to clean them again, that kind of thing. So remove the distractions and really focus in on this. I'd like you to do this mental exercise with me. You guys game? Okay, let's do it. It's gonna be awesome. We're gonna go over some common limiting beliefs. And I'd like you to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10, how true they feel about you. You're not gonna go and think about this a really long time, it's going to be the first number that comes to your mind. The first number that comes to your mind is the right one. You don't have to second guess it, just go with it. If you have the ability to write these down and rate yourself on these, then all the better. At minimum, put them in the chat and let us know. There's no shame in knowing where you are is okay. Wherever you are, it's fine, because when you know where you are, then you can work from there. So I'm going to go through these, and you can even take a deep breath, close your eyes, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. How true does this feel about me? First one, I am not worthy. 1 being, I don't feel that at all. That doesn't resonate with me. I don't feel like that's true. 10 being, I totally feel that. I feel that I'm not worthy. In the core of my being, that comes up. So where would you be on that scale of 1 to 10 of I am not worthy? Okay, being really honest with yourself. Like I said, the first number that comes, go with that one. Second one, I am not good enough. Scale of 1 to 10, where are you at? 7, 4, only you can say for you. This one has nothing to do with marriage, still an important one. Money is evil. Limiting belief there. Money is evil. 4, there is not enough time. Where are you on that scale of 1 to 10? There is not enough time. I have a fear of failure. I fear failure. Next one, fear of success. Interesting, on the other side of the coin there, the fear of success. 7, I don't deserve it. So think about what you really are wanting. How well do you feel like you deserve it on that scale of 1 to 10? 8, people will think I'm foolish or will laugh at me. 9, it's too late to change. I don't see any of you putting comments in, but that's okay. As long as you're doing this in your own mind, and if you can write them down, the more powerful it will be. It's too late to change. Okay. 10, I cannot let this go. I cannot forgive. I cannot let this go. 11, I do not forgive myself. How true does that feel for you? On a scale of 1 to 10, I do not forgive myself. And finally, you cannot save your marriage on your own. How true does that feel for you? So now that you've gone through this, and if you need to go back and do it again, that's fine. I'm actually going to include this as a PDF. Normally, we've only given it to our premium clients. I'd be happy to give this guide here, this common limiting beliefs guide. So if you would like that, then just put in the word guide or send me a PM, and that's fine. And I can give this guide to you, so you can sit down and take some time with it. If you rated yourself on a scale of 6 or higher on any of these limiting beliefs, then that is what is running the show for you. That story right there is running the show for you in your life. And I encourage you to reach out to us and to work with us in our coaching to clear and release those limiting beliefs and replace them. Now, I'm just going to go a little bit into an example of how this all fits into the big picture, okay? So this goes into why I think that someone saying you should just end the marriage is the worst advice ever, which I did a live stream on last week. So if you didn't check that out, make sure you watch that. So I'm going to talk about a client. So I'm not going to use names, but I'm going to, go into this a little bit. I am not worthy of love. This is a very, very common one that we see. And I felt that too myself. I've resonated on a high level before in the past with that limiting belief. So on a surface level, this client came to us. His wife was pulling away. She had had multiple affairs, and he was at, sorry, I'm throwing stuff over here. I tend to do that sometimes. I'm throwing my pen around. All right. So multiple affairs, and was pulling away from him, wanted a divorce, some really unhealthy, he was calling it narcissistic behavior. And on his end, He was very controlling, and he admitted that his desire to control her was pushing her further away, and to the point where he was trying to stifle her, constantly checking her phone, all these different things out of fear. So that's what we saw on the outside. Multiple affairs, wife pushing for divorce, him controlling, not knowing how to not control, having a very dominating type personality, trying to force a situation and force her to be with him. That's what we saw on the outside, right? Peel back the layers, layer by layer, we get down to this. And this took some work to get there, to go deep enough, but this was his limiting belief, okay? I am not worthy of love. And that's what he felt at the core of his being. That is the story that he had told himself, going all the way back to childhood, his parents' relationship not being good, his mother not giving him much affection or attention, kind of shutting him out, gave him the feeling, I must not be worthy of love. Now, how this manifested for him is he didn't feel worthy of love. So what did he try to do? He tried to control it. He tried to force it. And that just pushed his spouse further away. So my question for everyone is, if this remains as his limiting belief, I am not worthy of love, let's play this out into the future. So it's already had this huge effect on him and his marriage with his wife right now and his children. Let's play it out. Let's say that this marriage ends, right? It was heading towards divorce, multiple affairs, and it ends. And then this client then goes and he remarries. But this limiting belief remains. This story here, I am not worthy of love. And that is the dominating core belief that he has. In fact, I remember him rating it at a 10 out of 10. That was how strong it was. Others have rated it 8 out of 10. But again, I said if it's over a 6, it's what's running the show for you the most of the time. And it's definitely going to be showing up in your marriage and in your life. So I'd love to see here in the chat. I think I'm current. I don't know. Let's see. Oh yeah, lots of you are weighing in. Awesome. Oh, thanks, Jacob. Heather knows her stuff. Thank you. Group call last week. Yes, Jacob, you did awesome. Jacob and I did this work, and I appreciate you sharing that with everyone. And he went deep, and that's really, really, really great. First step. So if this man continues forward with this belief of I am not worthy of love, and he ends that marriage, he goes into another marriage, what is going to happen? What do you guys think? Put it in the comments. Sometimes my comments, it takes a while for it to refresh for me. But what's going to happen is the story is going to continue to replay itself and repeat itself. And we see this in so many relationships. That's why one marriage will end, another will start, and it's a repeat cycle of pain and failed relationships and failure to progress as a person. The same cycle continues to repeat, right? How could it be otherwise? If this is his dominating belief, and he may not even consciously recognize it, but it comes out in his controlling. It comes out in the way that, his fear, his clench mode. He was absolutely in clench mode. You guys know what I'm talking about, that clench mode. And it was pushing his spouse further away. And it's going to continue to repeat itself because that is the root issue. And until we resolve this root issue, the symptoms are going to continue to manifest. The symptoms might change. You could fix one area, but it's going to crop up somewhere else because it has to. Energy has to express itself, and we can't live congruent. We are always going to live congruent to what we feel, what our dominant belief is. Until we change that, it's just going to continue to repeat itself. So I hope that that's clear. Another client that I worked with, hers was, I'm always going to mess it up. I'm always going to fail. I'm just a failure. And an important thing to understand about limiting beliefs is that they serve us in some way. Otherwise, our brains wouldn't do them, right? They come up as a protection for us. And she could not figure out how that was possibly protecting her because it was creating so much stress and just heaviness in her life. And she just had all of this evidence of how she'd failed at everything. She'd failed to make the soccer team as a teenager. She'd failed to connect with her daughter. She'd failed in her first marriage. She was going to fail in this marriage. It was just one big failure after another. She'd just been laid off from her job, right? So she had huge amounts of evidence of why this was true. And what it was doing when we were finally able to look at it was protecting her from pain, It was protecting her. It was serving as a buffer between her and actual failure. Because if she didn't believe that she could succeed, then the pain of failing was less. Because what's worse, trying, like really ultimately trying and failing, or believing you can't really do it and failing anyway? That feels a little bit better, right? And so that's the brain's job. It says, you know, you failed all these times. Let's just believe that we're going to fail, because then we don't have as high expectations and we don't go through as much pain. And so it becomes a defense mechanism that our brains are using to keep us from pain, to keep us from failure. However, that's not really serving us. Yes, it's serving us in that way. It protects us, but ultimately not what we want to be having in our lives, not the story that we want to be repeating. It is not the truth of who you are. Any of those limiting beliefs that I just went through, that is not the truth of who you are, okay? Because we come here to this earth as beautiful, incredible beings, and none of us came here flawed or less worthy or less deserving of anyone else. We all have the potential and ability to do that, to be worthy, to be loved, and to become the very best versions of ourselves. That's what the work's all about, and that's what I encourage you to do. So if you would like this guide of these common limiting beliefs so that you can go through, take some time to rate yourself on them, then let me know in the comments. Put guide, or just put guide. And then we'll get those out to you. So that's the work to do. And that's the work that I love to do, because it changes everything. It not just changes your marriage, it changes your entire life. And I've seen it in my life. Personally, I used to believe that I'm not good enough. No matter what I do, it's not good enough. That drove me to extreme perfectionism, trying to prove that I was good enough. And anytime my husband would give me feedback that threatened that cord in me of I'm not good enough, it turned into a huge nightmare, right? An explosion of me trying to defend against not him, but myself. Because I was fighting that battle in myself, that I didn't feel like I was good enough. And I didn't feel like no matter what I did, it's not going to be good enough. The reason why I felt that, going back to childhood, things I tried to do, didn't feel like it was good enough. And so now I played out that story for, 20 whatever plus years, until the point where I finally learned this and was able to release that limiting belief, change those neural pathways in my brain, create a new belief, an empowering belief, and come to the truth of who I really am. And that's changed everything for me, because when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, as Bob Proctor so beautifully states. So I encourage you to do that. Do the work that's necessary to change those limiting beliefs, tap into who you really are, and act from that place. Give yourself evidence of why that is true. When you do that, everything will change for you. I absolutely promise. And that's the work that I love to do. So I appreciate you all. And again, if you want that guide, just put guide, and we'll see you soon.